Hey everyone, it's Houston, the Mandarin Piper. Hope everybody's enjoying their Friday. Me, I just got home from work, so my Friday just got a whole lot better. Now, this is take 2 on this video. I tried to do this yesterday, and whenever I went to upload it, it kept trying and trying and trying, and eventually it just told me it wasn't going to upload it, said the video had been corrupted. Now, I'm not too technically savvy, but I do know that means it's no bueno. So, we're back again to try and get her done this time. So, I don't mind. This is a good tobacco, and I enjoy puffing on it. But, housekeeping. Got the, excuse me, 7 Ellie Quandale, and the shape is the 315, and that is the KS. I really like this accent here. The stem, I don't know if you can see it. It's a real nice acrylic. It's got some black swirl in it. And I really like this rustication here. Another thing I think is really cool about these Quandales is they're kind of like a miniature church warden. They're not as huge as most church wardens are. You can see the bend in the stem ain't too extreme. Now, it's a nice shorter church warden. Now, I got this pipe for Christmas this past year. And the first couple of times I smoked it, I wasn't too impressed with it. But the more I smoked it, and once it got good and broke in, I really came to appreciate it. So, I usually just run one type of tobacco through here, not one type of blend, but one family, I guess would be a better way to say it, one family of tobacco through here. And you'll probably be able to guess here in just a minute. But before we get too far, drink pairing today is some Coca-Cola in a mason jar. I was thinking tea. I wasn't really feeling tea. I needed something with a little bit of fizz in it. So, Coca-Cola it is. But anyway, let's get to the review, shall we? That's why we're all here. Now, I'm not an expert reviewer by any means, but I've been holding off on this one for a little while for a couple of reasons. One, I don't really smoke it too often. And two, I wanted to try and get as much out of it as I could before doing the review. Well, I only got a couple of flakes left. So I've gone through almost the entire tin. So, excuse me. Better get this review done before I run out. So, now, we'll start with the tin. And I love these Mac Baren tins. That's what it comes in there. I was really fortunate whenever I got this tin. If you can see there, it's from January of 2016. So when I got it, it already had some age on it. So keep that in mind as we go through the review here. It wasn't fresh whenever I got it. It was already aged 2, almost 3 years. Or 2.5 years, I guess. But anyway, the tin description says, "This is the strongest pipe tobacco among the blends in the Mac Baren range and is not recommended for inexperienced pipe smokers." It says H&H Bowl Kentucky contains a high amount of the finest Artfire Kentucky from the USA and Africa and is combined with bright Virginias to soften the taste just a bit. Still, the taste is of earthiness and the smoke plays the major part with just a slight nuance of sweetness as the underlying taste. The origin of the taste is in the leaf itself, and thanks to the hot press, the different tastes marry into one unique taste. Like all other HH blends, this blend has only an absolute minimum of casing and no top flavor at all. So, and I gotta hand it to them there. That's probably one of the most accurate tin descriptions I think I've ever seen on a tin of tobacco. And we'll get in here and dig us out one of these flakes. Now, the flakes are kind of small, as you can see. They're real dark too. You can definitely see the Virginia in there, but it's very, very little. I mean, it's almost 100% pure dark fired. The way this is packaged is it's stacked, you got 3 of these across, and then they're stacked up to the top of the tin here. And you know, they're real easy to pull out. What I usually like to do is take one of these flakes, and since I usually run it in this pipe here, it's a little too short to fold and stuff. You usually end up with about that much of a flake sticking out of the top of your pipe here. But it's got a nice round, got a real wide bowl on it. So what I like to do is take one of the flakes and rub it into a ball and stuff it down in there, and then take a half another flake and rub it out to like a nice broken flake, and just kind of swirl it, you know, around the inside on the top there, and light it, and it usually burns pretty well. I gotta say, this tobacco right here, along with its brother, which I'll do a proper review on in the future, have quickly worked their way up into my, you know, top, I don't know if I want to say a top 10, because I can't just limit myself to 10 favorites, so we'll say top 20 tobacco blends of all time. Now the flavor of this is, you know, just absolutely something else now. From the first time I had it, I was absolutely hooked on it. You know, I took this, lit it up, and the first thing that popped into my head was when you go out in the woods in the fall, right after a rain, you get that, you know, musty smell from all the leaves on the ground and the dead wood that's just been rained on after it's kind of sit there for a while. You know, anybody that's, you know, been in the woods any amount of time knows what I'm talking about. But, you know, it reminded me a lot of that smell there. That was the first thing that popped into my head whenever I smoked this. But the flavor is really, really good. Of course, you get that smokiness. That's, you know, kind of the consistent flavor there. But the sweetness, the deepness, I don't know if sweetness would be the proper word. It is sweet, but I want to say almost like a richness. I'm having a hard time explaining this, because it actually changes as you draw. It starts off nice and rich, and then it kind of mellows out. You get a little bit of that sweetness, and that's when the Virginias kind of peek through just a little bit. You kind of get that hay flavor, like you're chewing on a piece of straw or a shoot of grass or something like that, if anybody's ever done that. You know, you kind of get that flavor in the middle, and then it finishes off with a little bit of a kind of bittersweet. And if you get it on the retro, or if you retrohale, you get a little bit of spice. You know, it's a nice kick too, but it's not a spiciness like Perique. In fact, I don't think there's any Perique at all in this. You know, it's absolutely nothing like that. I think this spiciness is strictly from the dark fired Kentucky. And this is one of those blends that likes to change as you smoke the bowl. The further down you get in the bowl, the more depth it has. And this is just, you know, insane to smoke. You know, I haven't, or at least I don't think, I've had a tobacco, you know, catch my interest as much as this one. Oh, I will say this before we get too far. On the back there, you know, when it says it's not recommended for inexperienced pipe smokers, I would definitely heed that warning. This is one of the few tobaccos out there that I will sometimes actually have to set my pipe down and come back to it later because the nicotine is so strong. And you gotta watch it too because it'll sneak up on you. You know, it's just so good you'll you know, won't be paying attention and it'll get you. You know, I don't say that to discourage any new pipe smokers from trying it. By all means, if you want to, go for it. It's a great blend. You know, just be wary. You know, it will, or can, sneak up and get you. Now, other than that, other than that, I don't think there's too much more I can add to that. I mean, you're getting the earthy flavor there. There's kind of like a musty-like flavor in there sometimes, and every once in a rare while, you'll get kind of like this creamy, bitter sweetness. It kind of reminds me of like a homemade hot chocolate. But then again, at the same time, you know, not. Also, there's a slight sourness in here every once in a while, and I'm not sure what it is. It's familiar. I can't put my finger on it. You know, it only comes in every once in a while. So, I guess to wrap it up here, you get that nice, you know, sweet smokiness as the main part of the smoke there. You get a little bit of earthy, some mustiness to it. The Virginia, you know, only plays a teeny tiny part in this. Like I said, you know, sometimes in the middle of a draw or a puff, you'll get it kind of peeking out at you there a little bit. You know, but then it's gone. Then it usually, you know, finishes nice, sweet. That last one, I kind of got a little bit of that grass on the tail end there. But it usually finishes nice and sweet, and then sometimes you get like a sweet, I don't know, kind of a sourness, you know, at the very end. You know, that's going to bug me now. I'm going to have to order me a few more tins of this to kind of figure out what that is. Yeah, but it's got a nice spiciness to it as well. Like I said, nothing like Perique. This is kind of unique. And the aroma is absolutely wonderful. For me particularly, because I'm the one smoking it. But even my wife, you know, I can light this up, and, you know, she's not really a huge fan of strong tobaccos, but this one she likes. It says very reminiscent of a wood stove. And of course, if you're in my area, you know, that's a pretty common way to heat your house in the winter. A wood stove or a fireplace. You know, usually fill in for propane and electric. Because here we get ice in the winter. We don't get a whole lot of snow. It's always ice. And it usually ends up taking a tree limb down, which usually comes crashing down on a power line or two, or a lot. And then the whole town's without power for a week or two. So, a lot of folks, you know, have the wood stoves, fireplace, and of course propane. So in the wintertime, wood stoves, you know, is a pretty common smell that you smell around here. That's what this smells like, or at least that's what my wife says. Now, I said I would quit doing this. I didn't want to, give star ratings to blends I was reviewing, but I do put them in my personal book, my tasting book, different blends I've tried, and from 0 to 5 stars, what I think about them, and then I put my tasting notes in at the bottom under the blend name, the review, how I smoked it, and what I smoked it out of, and all the little details. And I gotta say, this one right here, I give it a 4.8 out of 5. That's where I'm at with it right now. I love this blend. Something you gotta know about my grading system, though. One of my absolute favorites, How the Wine by Rattrays, I only listed as about a 4.0. 4-star even. It's lower in the rating, but yet I like it more than this one. The main reason I do that is because this isn't something I would smoke every day. This is an occasional smoke for me. I might save it for holidays, birthdays. My friends might come over, we might have a glass of whiskey or something. I might save this for that. I've just made the exception the last couple of days because I wanted to do this review. And I've been wanting to do it for a while. I mean, some folks might enjoy it as an all-day smoke. Me, not so much. This is a special occasion tobacco for me. But anyway, y'all, I've rambled on long enough. Hopefully you got some useful information out of my ramblings here. And if you haven't tried Bold Kentucky yet, go pick you up a 10. You won't be disappointed. When they say bold, they meant it. So, but anyway, y'all, I'm going to get off here. Y'all enjoy the rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. And we will talk to y'all later.